Hi, this is Trevor Conquergood. Welcome to this week's RNK Software Club's video for the week. And our topic for this week is about the printable sewing information pages and how you can control the information that's on them. And so if you're ready to get started, let's go ahead and pop onto the Floriani workspace. And the tool that you're looking for is up at the top here, print preview. When you click on it, the software enters into like a printable mode. It shows you the pages. Currently, I don't have an embroidery design open, so that's kind of boring. Well, perhaps we'll just close that. So we go back to our regular working mode. And I'm going to use the library on the right-hand side and just click on April and browse to April 2024, and then click on the Designs tab to see the contents of that folder. And I'll pick a design and bring it into my workspace by like click and drag. And so now I have this design open, and if I click on Print Preview, you'll see the results. So now we have the embroidery design here shown. You can see the sewing sequence. You can see information here. And there's a window, a menu at the top of this window with some options. First of all, if everything's perfect, you can click print and actually print it. Before you do that, there's the next page and previous page. Currently, I only have the 2 pages, but there's times where it's multiple pages because it's a template for a large layout or something, and you need to print a series of pages, and you can page through them. For example, this button here says toggle to 1 page, so now you only see 1 page, at a time, not 2. And if I click next, I go, page through, page back. This would be show 2 pages at a time. There's also the zoom in button, so you can zoom to get a little closer or zoom back out again. And then the settings. So really there's settings, and then close would be to go right out of it and back to your workspace. So to get into it, it's up at the top, print preview. And then the settings is where you get to choose what is actually being printed. And so that notice there's like a series of checkboxes that you can choose. Over on the left, there's the margins. So now you can control how much empty space there is on the edge of the page. So perhaps your design is very close to the page size, and you could make these a little smaller. But really the main ones are the check boxes. And so in your check boxes, the first one says to print this at actual size. Then it says to print the color analysis, and that's what this information is. It also says to print the notes in the color analysis. You could turn on print in 1 page, and that would kind of uncheck the notes thing. And notice now it will force it all into 1 page. So you would have less detail, but more of a single page view, I guess. Otherwise, if you uncheck print in 1 page, then it'll take this, the full 2 pages to do all of the sequence view. And it kind of shows you visually what part of that color is this thread, and it tells you which thread. It also tells you how much thread you'll be using in inches or in meters, depending on how you set your program up. Hoop, so you could display your hoop in your printable area. It says show crosshairs. So notice here, let's go back to 2-page view like this. Notice there's a crosshair, which is really great if you're printing a template to use for hooping, to help you with hooping. It shows you where the north and south and east and west alignment marks are in your embroidery hoop. And if you don't need that in part of your print area, maybe you want to make this page cleaner, then you could turn that off. You could uncheck the show crosshair. And you have artwork mode, so that will tell it to include, any artwork that's part of the embroidery design, vector artwork. Stitch mode, so that means, to show the stitches. Print thick stitches, so if you uncheck this, it'll show them kind of more as thinner lines instead of thicker lines. And you can remove the jump stitches. So if you don't remove the jump stitches, it will show you the traveling stitches in between the elements of your embroidery design. And so really it depends on why you're printing it to what you might want to include. You could tell it to include your design notes. And if you turn on the design notes, uh, it will only display them if there are any. And so what that means is if I just close, you see here we have design notes, but these come from the actual sewing. So if we look at the way this design stitches out, the first three colors actually make up an applique. And the applique, if you look on the sequence view, it's this the first piece is actually just the artwork of the egg. So that's what makes the color in the background. But the second piece is the actual applique of the egg. And notice there's a plus beside that. And when I click on it, it shows me that there's three color stops. This one piece, one shape has three stops. And in between them, there's notes. So when you use your applique tool, the program will automatically put in special notes to help, a person understand the sequence and why there's a stop and what they should do next. But if you wanted to add your own, so for example, if after this pink color, there was some specific note that you wanted to leave, maybe you're sharing the file with your friends. Really, this is a dream program for professional designers because they can include all of the notes in one place. So notice if I right click, I have the option to add a note. I could add a note before this color or after this color. I'll add a note after the pink, and I could say, remember to, cut or whatever you want to say, remember, and then save it. Or if this is a note you're going to use again, you could save the whole note. So now you could have a drop-down menu of notes that you like to put in your designs so that it makes it easy for you to reuse them. So when I say, okay, after this color pink, well, I guess at the very end of the color pink, there's a note to remember to cut. And so now if I go into my print preview, there'll be an additional note that I've added to the program. But there's also, and I'm just going to, on the topic of notes, here in the properties area, there's a notes tab. This is the information tab, tells you how many stitches and how long it'll take to sew it. But here in the notes tab, you can type in, Trevor says, and leave a note for your friends. And now if I go on the print preview, notice that Trevor says my note has been added to the bottom of that page. And so that's really cool because it works with our amazing Save to Sew tool. So if you decide you're going to stitch this design onto something new, a different kind of fabric, like a baby onesie, and there's a whole list of fabrics that you could choose, but I'll choose baby onesie. I didn't digitize. And even if I don't want the design changed, I just want to know the suggested stabilizer recipes. I don't have to, this would have the program analyze the design and make changes, which is also not wrong. Go ahead and turn that on if you want the program to be allowed to change the underlay, or change the density or change the stitch angle. Either way, when you say next, now the program will return a recipe. And the recipe, you can sit in, study it, learn about it, fuse the power mesh to the fabric, use perfect stick stabilizer to stick the item down and top it with heat and gone. This is the recipe. Don't forget to use a number 11 Floriani chrome needle. Well, and I know when I say finish that it asks me to save the design, but you don't have to. It's just, an option, like this is the one for the baby onesie. But now that I've done that, notice my notes has all of those. That recipe was added to this design's notes. And if you save this design right now and you click save and you save it as, Easter egg .waf and you set WAF and you send it to your friends, all of these notes will be included. And if they click on print preview, there'll be the stabilizer recipe in the notes. There'll be the sewing techniques information will be all in their printed sewing. And of course, they would still have the ability to change the colors. They can come in and say, well, all that's wonderful, but I think I want the top color of that applique to be, maybe a different color of pink or something like that. And so they can change that. But yeah, so that's your sewing sequence. Once again, you come up here to go into print preview. You click on here to interact with the settings. You can check and uncheck which things you want to have included. And then when you're done, you click print to actually print the pages. And when you're finished, you can click close to go back to working with the design. And of course, if you wanted to save it to a machine format, like when you stitch it out, you're going to save it in your machine's format. Just know that the sewing sequence notes and the additional stops and notes, those are not things that go into the stitch format. Those are part of your WAF file, and it's one of the reasons why the WAF file is such an amazing format for to keep your embroidery designs in, because you can keep your notes with them and all these other things. And so we hope you enjoyed this week's RNK Software Club's video for the week. Until next week, have a great day and bye for now.